Hello, everyone. It's John Little here, and what I want to talk about today is data centers. And I'm going to go into what data centers are, what the immediate impacts of a data center has on a location, and also what data centers are meant for, their purpose for the near future. And I think it's very important because a lot of people are noticing data centers popping up everywhere. And no matter where you live in the United States, I'm sure in your location, there's been chatter about a data center being built somewhere in the general location of where you live. I know where I live, there's plans, they're trying to get the okay to build a data center. Not really close to me, but close enough to where people are hearing about it on the local news. And so I've been doing some research specifically on data centers and here lately because I just wanted to know exactly what they are but I know what they're meant for, and I've known that for a number of years because in order to understand the impact that data centers are going to have on us, people have to understand this one thing, and this one thing is called technocracy. And I'm going to just I'm going to gloss through what technocracy is real quick, but I'll go into bigger detail here in a minute. Technocracy is a political and economic ideology for controlling the masses through artificial intelligence. And the intentions is to get rid of the government, the present government that we live in right now. No more politicians, no more presidents, Congress, any of that stuff. And having artificial intelligence control everything, even govern the populations. Now, that sounds like something from a scary sci-fi novel or sci-fi movie. In fact, you can actually see predictive programming movies that have technocracy as controlling the populations. One of them that pops in my mind of a technocratic governed mass of people is the movie Dredd. And it's not the Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone, but the one that's the most recent Judge Dredd movie called Dredd. And what you see is a mass of people living in an area, people stacked upon each other in high-rise apartments, and technology controls every aspect of their life. And that is the form of government that is planned for the world. And it's coming fast. I've been studying technocracy since 2020. And I've even written about technocracy 3 different times in 3 of my books. One is the Handbook on the Powers That Should Not Be. The other one is the Antichrist and His Cult. And my most recent book on the Illuminati, called The Illuminati Playbook, The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion Unveiled. And so I've known what technocracy is for quite a while. And I tell you what, it's pretty surreal to see these data centers popping up everywhere and how fast is being rolled out. And, it's one thing when you learn about something that is intended, that the powers that be, the powers that should not be, their intentions for certain agendas. It's one thing when you learn about it and you know that they're serious about it and they're going to do it unless the people push back hard enough to keep it from happening. It's pretty sobering when you find out what they plan on doing, but it's quite surreal when you start seeing the infrastructure being built up around you. And that's what's happening with these data centers. That's the purpose of these data centers, is to be able to run society completely on technocracy and have AI control everything. And this political and economic ideology, this technocracy, it's intended to be the new form of government where they're doing away with the present government that you live in, and that's the way it's going to be throughout the rest of the world. There's not going to be politicians, which, yeah, that sounds great. Absolutely. No more presidents, no Congress, none of that. All that's planned to be done away with, and they plan on completely controlling the world. There will be no more states and countries that we see now, which I'm not going to go into that, but we live in a point in time where we just live in the illusion of sovereignty. There's really not sovereign countries and everything, but we still have the illusion, which does give you a little bit of false security. But the intentions are, and it's not too far away, to do away with countries, and the world would just be split up in regions. Now, this all sounds like crazy talk, a bunch of wacko conspiracy theories, but it's not. All you have to do is pay attention and read and listen to what the people, the technocrats, are doing right now. Listen to what the World Economic Forum is talking about. Even the Club of Rome, which is an organization that they're the ones that's behind the climate change agendas and stuff. They even talked about doing away with all the countries, and they talked about this decades ago, and just splitting all the areas of the world up into regions, which sounds like something straight out of apocalyptic biblical end times prophecies. Because it's like they read and studied the end times prophecies, and now they're trying to do it. That's basically what they're doing. That's the people we're dealing with. I mean, that's the reason why I titled my second Illuminati book, The Antichrist and His Cult. Because the people that actually control the world, and it's not presidents, they're just puppets, but the ones that actually control the world are these dark occultists. And they are the minions of Satan and the fallen angels. When you really study it, that's what you find out. And I wrote a complete book on it and published it. But anyway, the plan is for a one world government with a one world currency, and they're unrolling it out right now. And so these data centers, what they are, is they're just a bunch of servers, these facilities with a bunch of servers, and they collect data. And they already have these things, so they're already collecting so much data that it's quite scary as it is. But they plan on collecting a lot more data, because to run a society on technocracy, they're going to have to collect data, not only telephone calls, emails, what you buy, and every thing that you ever say on the internet, but they're also going to be collecting data from these facial recognition cameras that they've already started putting up everywhere. But these facial recognition cameras are going to be able to monitor everybody, and all that's going to be going into a data center. So they already have a huge dossier on everybody, but it's going to be, they're upgrading it to a much higher level, and that's why these people that are pushing this agenda and unrolling it out, they need these data centers everywhere. And it's for track and trace and monitoring everything that everybody's doing. And this technocratic system, I'll give you some details about it. This technocratic system, to show you how much control that it's going to have, is that they will no longer even need policemen to go out and try to catch people doing things and then arresting them and investigating them. They won't need that anymore, because what will happen is these facial recognition cameras will catch people doing things that the government doesn't want to do. And instead of a policeman, well, they might send a drone, which we see that happening. if you haven't noticed, they've got different forms of, things that fly around, that these drones that go around flying around and doing certain things. They'll have that. But most of the time, if you're doing something that the government doesn't want you to do, the cameras will catch you doing it, and then they will immediately deduct from your bank account a fine. That's how quick and how much control that this will have. And so just for an example, I always use this one. Say that a person just jaywalks. Well, the camera, facial recognition camera identifies who you are and what you did. Immediately, before you even get across the street, it's already deducted money out of your account. And so, what they're doing too, if you haven't noticed, something that has been kicked around and you hear politicians and technocrats, some of them talk about, and that's called universal basic income. And what universal basic income is that everybody will get a certain amount of credits to live on annually. And they plan on doing away with cash. I mean, they've been talking about that for quite a while. But eventually what they're doing is they're causing so much debt, they're crashing world economies, and it's done on purpose. And this new technocratic system and governance that people are going to live under, everybody will be on this. They will get a certain amount of credits to live on, and you have to do everything the government says. And whatever you don't comply with, credits will be automatically taken out. And what even makes this even crazier is they plan on for these credits to have an expiration date. That way, people can't save up and build up any kind of wealth. And so you'll get a certain amount of credits for a certain period of time, say a certain amount for a month, and you either use them or lose them. You can't save. And they plan on just giving people just enough to get by on anyway. But so when these whatever you don't do that the government wants you to do, or whatever you do that they don't want you to do, they will withdraw from your account. And it wouldn't take too much civil disobedience before you're completely flat broke, or even you owe them credits at this point. And this is called a social credit system. This is all things they got planned. They've already got it in parts of China already. Technocracy is fully operational in certain parts of China right now. And they live under a horrendous slavery system. And so, like I said, it has an expiration date. You use it or lose it. And that's pretty bad control. That is a slavery system. It's the beast system, quite frankly, that you read about in the book of Revelation with the mark of the beast and so on. That's what technocracy is. And that's what these data centers are being built for. It's just part of the infrastructure for this AI governance. And I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just trying to let people know exactly what they have planned. And sadly, most people are hopelessly stuck in what's called the left-right paradigm. They still believe in this false left-right paradigm and believe that, in politicians and political parties, and that's the whole purpose of this left-right paradigm, is to keep the population fighting with themselves while the real controllers of the world are building up a system of AI governance to control them. And it's being unrolled fast. It's just, like I said, it's surreal to me to see all these facilities being built up everywhere with intentions of building a lot more. And so that's not the long term. It's planned for the near future, but it's they've got a little ways to go before they get this to where they want it. In the process, they got to completely destroy the economic system as it is right now, and they're doing a great job. I know here in the United States, there's $37 trillion in debt, which is something that can never be recovered. This is just controlled demolition. It's being done on purpose. And, they make it look like politicians have been doing this through incompetence, but it's not incompetence. It's being done on purpose. And so the ones that are actually doing it, this powers that be that I call the Illuminati, they use the reason why they use these politicians is so that people think that is where the decision making is coming from. But politicians are nothing more than just actors. They're following a script. They're teleprompter readers. They have no real power. But they give the illusion that they do have power. And so the people that are under this form of government thinks that these actors and teleprompter readers, the ones that have speeches written for them, people think that is where the power's at. And so when crazy things are being done, it makes it look like it's incompetence coming from the politicians, when in fact, that's the script. So, but when it comes to these data centers, one of the things that the immediate impact that I've been seeing is that data centers in a location requires lots and lots of fresh water, which, guess what? That taps into the people around into their water source and then takes a large part of it. So when it comes to supply and demand, guess what happens when a lot of the supply gets taken? Prices go up. Their water bills are skyrocketing. And another thing that these data centers, they're a bunch of servers and stuff. They need cooled down, but they require a lot of electricity. And guess what happens? Again, supply and demand kicks in. There's a lot of demand. The prices go up, and people that live anywhere near a data center are having their electric bills skyrocketing. It's not like it's, and it's happening even in places that don't necessarily, even the areas that don't have data centers. Have you noticed your electric bills going up? That's because that's the impact of these data centers already. And just wait until these data centers are in every location, because they plan on having many thousands of them, even in the United States. This is where the prices skyrocketing are coming from, is from data centers being built. We are just at the very beginning of it, because they plan on these things being everywhere. But anyway, I'm not going to keep rambling on, but I just wanted to give people an idea. And the most important part about these data centers is the technocracy, the technocratic slavery system that this is being built for. And people have got to understand this. People have got to quit fighting over politicians, because they are powerless. They're insignificant. And that's what people are focusing all their attention on. And they're fighting about a certain politician. They're completely irrelevant in this. So it's the technocrats that you've got to worry about. So folks, I appreciate you all. Take care. Have a good day.